Hi, everybody. It's me, Monica P. Hall, aka Conduit of Healing, and I wanted to have a chat with you about some things that I'm working on and some intuitive observations I have been feeling about our future. And so, the first thing I want to talk about is this concept of space. And when I say space, I mean collective space, I mean universal space, I mean physical space. I mean spiritual space. And what I have noticed is that in recent times, because we are going through great changes, people are starting to low key panic about their place in the world and how to maintain that rather than perhaps thinking about where the world is going, the direction it's moving, and where we belong in that particular space. It's been said before, but I'm going to say it again. In general, human beings do not like change. We like a certain amount of predictability. We want to know where we're going to be in the next 5 minutes, in the next 5 years, and we want some sort of guarantee that everything's going to be okay. And that's not how the universe works. That's not how it's ever worked. And no matter how many times we're told this, no matter how many times we're shown this, we still like to cling to the idea that we can control what's up ahead. So let me just, reiterate, we cannot control what is up ahead. We can control how we react to what's up ahead, who we are, how we're going to adjust to basically going with universal flow. One of the things that I've noticed as a psychic medium, Reiki master teacher, empath, and just, human being with sensitivity is that there is now this feeling where there's not enough anything for all of us. And we have to remind ourselves that these are systems. They're economic systems, they're governmental systems, they're societal systems. And we find ourselves in these things. And for many years, we have found ourselves being co-conspirators and supporters of these systems. And now we're finding that, as many have predicted before me, that these systems cannot be sustained, that they must grow, that they must evolve, that they must change, and we must do all those things with it. So in this, in this need to not change, we have a lot of people digging into their belief systems. We have a lot of people practicing discrimination in order to protect themselves or their way of life or their way of believing, their way of thinking. And I just have to say it out loud. That's actually ultimately self-destructive. We're all here. That's a given. We're all here. The universe meant for us to be here, otherwise we wouldn't be here. And we are not meant to be the same. We are not meant to try to be the same. We are not meant to look alike, act alike, feel the same feelings at the same time. None of those things, none of those ideologies that we've been indoctrinated to believe is our truth. How do we know that? Look at the planet. Look at nature, look at the history of the planet. It doesn't matter what species it is, there's always been a variation of color, of physical appearance, of, behaviors, so on and so forth. And I don't know why human beings are under the impression that they're more special than anything else, that we don't get to practice our variations. We don't get to live out our variations of our species, but it's a problem. And as we're in these uncertain times, and uncertain just means we don't know what's going to happen yet, people are kind of digging in out of fear, rather than just, taking the journey with grace. A lot of people are freaking out and acting out in very, less than graceful ways. And so as a spiritual human being, as somebody who this is my normal. Being a psychic is my normal. Being an empath is my normal. Being a Reiki master teacher is my normal. Talking to spirit, that's my normal. Is not the normal for all, right? And so what I've experienced is a lot of low key energetic discrimination or feelings of unwelcomeness in certain groups because the way that I am apparently triggers the belief systems of others. And it's almost like people think that because you don't believe what they do or believe in the way in which they do, or you don't live your life in the way in which they do, that you are less worthy of life itself and or equality or respect, so on and so forth. And let's just call a thing a thing. That's not true. That's a blatant lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. That's a blatant lie. Why is it a lie? We're here. The universe decided all of us are worthy of being here. We all are worthy of existing. We're all worthy of life itself. So we as creations, not creators, creations, we don't actually ultimately have a say about who's allowed to be here, who's allowed to exist. And if your belief system has those kinds of trappings, then I would say question it. Because, we're already here. Rather than trying to create reasons for us not to be here, why can't we just create acceptance that we are here? And our differences can be respected. Our differences don't necessarily have to be understood to be respected. When you have a good sense of who you are and you are confident in that person, confident in yourself, and you are well with your own soul, then you really don't have time or even the interest to criticize or judge what other people are doing with their souls. So that's what I mean by space. We're already here. We're already here. So therefore, we deserve to be here. And I feel like if you're going to call yourself a person of any sort of faith, then you have to trust that whatever creator you believe in, that they know so much more than you, that they see the bigger picture, and that they've decided everyone deserves to be here. So let's start making more space for one another, because it's very clear, especially if it's after, a time of this pandemic globally, where we've had to be away from one another, where we've had to be away from our friends, and we've had to be away from our family. If you haven't learned anything else, I hope you've learned these two things. During this pandemic, the number one complaint that people have is they miss each other. So that's people. So that must mean that part of having a healthy, well-fulfilled life means relationships with others. That's number one. The second thing people complain about is they miss outside. So that's nature, right? Just being able to go out into the air, get fresh air, see a tree, see the sky, those kinds of things. Things that you were taking for granted before. Things that all of us were taking for granted before. So, sometimes we actually have to be dragged back to the basics. There is enough space for all of us. There is enough room. And if there isn't, that means there's something going on in your mind where you're saying that there's not enough space for all of us. But there absolutely is. There always has been. No matter what systems of power, of money, of status, of class, no matter what these imaginary systems say, don't get caught up in that, because you can already see it's caused so much strife. It's caused so much, toxicity. It's caused so much violence. Don't get caught up in that. There is enough space for you. There's enough space for me. There's enough space for people to decide what their gender pronoun ought to be, for people to decide for themselves what love looks like, what love feels like to them. For people to be appreciated for the amount of melanin their skin does have or doesn't have, for the way that their bodies function, regardless of how it does. We all deserve to be here and we all deserve to take up space. I wanted to make that very clear. The next thing I wanted to talk about is what I'm going to be doing with Conduit of Healing, how I'm going to be expanding it. As some of you probably know, I created a product line called Conduit of Healing Body and Tea, and that is a Reiki infused line of whipped shea butter products and teas to address things like anxiety, chronic fatigue, and general wellness, well-being, just making sure that our bodies are functioning optimally. And those of you who've used the products and thanked me and given really great feedback, I absolutely appreciate you. And I'm just so glad that people are getting the sleep that they need, that they are feeling less stressed out, they're getting more energy, their aches and pains are being reduced, they're breathing better. Their life is just, the physical life has had a slight upgrade. But I want to talk about some other things that I feel need to happen with Conduit of Healing. And that is, I want to start teaching Reiki to health caregivers, to just plain old caregivers, to parents of special needs, to people who are struggling and dealing with chronic illnesses, and to their caretakers, and also the caretakers of the elderly. The fact is, life has a plethora of expressions from a physical standpoint. And what I know Reiki does for sure is it reduces stress, it reduces anxiety, it removes pain, it helps our well being, it helps us manage our stresses better. And I feel like more of us need this tool. So let me explain what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get as many people as I can to become at least level 1 practitioners. What does this do? This gives you the ability to give yourself Reiki. If you are a caregiver, if you are a parent, if you are a spouse, and you are doing the best you can every day to take care of someone else, I understand the emotional stress, the physical stress, the psychological stress that comes along with it. Becoming attuned to level 1 will give you the ability to keep yourself centered, to keep yourself in a good space so that you can continue to be the best caregiver that you can, not just for the person you're taking care of, but also yourself. A lot of times what happens with caregivers is that they tend to focus all of their energy on to the person they're caring for while neglecting themselves. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can actually do your best work as a caregiver by making sure you're okay. You have to. That's number 1. Level 2, and you have to take level 1 before you get to level 2. Level 2 of being attuned to Sui Reiki gives you the opportunity to heal others. Okay, so I'm specifically interested in helping parents who have special needs children. I have worked with a friend's son who's autistic, and they have seen positive benefits from him getting Reiki. It helps with the anxiety, it helps with the stresses that go on in the mind of a child who is special needs. I have a special place in my heart for these children because they are being asked to live in a society that is not built for them, and I cannot even imagine the stress of that. Nonverbal children who, in my experience, are actually telepaths, and their inability to be able to use words because they don't understand why they should, and the parents struggling to try to communicate with them because perhaps they don't remember having a telepathic ability, or they are not tapped into their intuition. So there becomes obviously a communication issue. As I said, I've worked with a family where this has already been an issue, and working with them turn things around. And those aren't my words, those are hers. It greatly enhanced their relationship and how they communicate with one another, and creating more of a wide berth of space for everyone to just be themselves and do what it takes to learn how to communicate in a better way. Also, I have so many friends and loved ones who have chronic illnesses, whether it be fibromyalgia, whether it be lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, scardoma, just, and I deal with chronic inflammation. We need more tools. And sometimes, the pharmaceutical therapies and the medicines and the physical therapies, it's still not enough. Now, you may or may not be aware, but the medical community has been using Reiki as a complementary therapy, alternative therapy, in healing and medicines for quite some time. I want to give you guys these tools. It is one thing. You can absolutely still come to me for Reiki. Reiki can be sent at a distance. There are mechanisms and symbols in place for that. But this is the same thing as, giving a man a fish or teaching them to fish. I want more of you to become healers for yourselves, for your loved ones, for your friends, for your families. When I became a practitioner over a decade ago, it became very clear to me that everyone should at least be attuned to level 1. We should be able to have this tool of healing just for ourselves, just for us. It will make such a huge difference in our daily lives. And then level 2, being able to help others. I have students that, I'm so extremely proud of, and you guys know who you are, that are incredible Reiki masters. And I know that, one in particular became attuned so that they could help a loved one with their chronic illness. And it just makes such a difference knowing that you can do something to ease someone's pain, to help them breathe better, to lower blood pressure, to just get them in a sense of a better well-being. It means so much. So I want to do that. Thirdly, I am looking for people who are interested in tapping into their intuition for everyday living. I'm not asking you to be a psychic. That is not what intuition necessarily means. Intuition is your sixth sense, that little gut feeling that tells you to move left or to move right, or to say yes or to say no, and likely the sense that you've ignored more times than you can count and paid the price for. I've been asking this question recently. If you had listened to all the gut feelings that you've been given over your lifetime about a relationship, about a job, about a friendship, about just what direction to move your life, if you had listened to your gut feeling, what would your life look like right now? Would it be better? So I'm going to be teaching a course on how to tap into that basic human sense, intuition. It's so crazy. The rest of nature, it runs via intuition. Right now on the safari, there's a prey and a predator doing what they do naturally, and the prey knows that there's a predator out there and is preparing to make a run for it, while the predator is stalking, is watching, is observing, trying to figure out when's the best time to attack. We're no different. We're no different. The definition of prey and predator could be, somebody in a relationship, somebody interviewing for a job, somebody trying to get a raise at a job. We're all kind of playing these roles where we are the hunter or the hunted, and we need our intuition in order to make the best decisions that will affect our future. So I want to teach you that. I want to teach you about, tapping into your intuition, how to discern the truth from a lie or deception so that you're not deceived, how to create a daily practice so that you can expand your intuition and really start trusting yourself with yourself. We have been taught not to trust our gut intuition, and look where that has gotten us, right? We all have had those experiences where something has happened and we get frustrated because we knew it was going to happen, and we didn't listen to ourselves. And so that can cause internal strife, that can cause a breakdown of relationship with yourself. So I want to teach you how to begin trusting yourself again, trusting your intuition, following your intuition, so that you can avoid pitfalls, so you can avoid deception, so that you can avoid, taking detours to get to your goals as a person, to your life goals, or just if it's just the kind of person you would want to become, making that the focus and not feeling that it is necessary to always be seen as nice or agreeable or not a troublemaker, because it's those people that go along to get along. Those are the people that end up being victims, and they also end up being angry with those who have taken advantage of them. But you have to remember and take responsibility for and hold yourself accountable for the fact that you didn't resist it. So these are the things that I know we're going to need in 2021. We're going to need more tools to heal ourselves. We're going to need to tap into our intuition so that we can avoid pitfalls. I believe that we have gone through a great shift, or a continuation of a great shift, in the year 2020. I clearly see that 2021 will be a continuation of these challenges. It may not mean that, you're going to have to be stuck in the house all the time, hopefully, because we are hopefully going to get this dis-ease under control, this virus under control. But in the meantime, the fabric of the world is changing. Jobs are not going to be the same. Living situations are not going to be the same. The relationships that we have with each other is not going to be the same. So the sooner that we can kind of prepare ourselves spiritually for it, emotionally for it, psychologically for it, change, and start embracing it rather than resisting it, the better equipped we're going to be in order to have a positive outcome for all of us. Okay, so I will leave at the end of this video information on how to contact me if you're interested in taking a class on Reiki, if you would like to spread the word in terms of me trying to reach people who are dealing with special needs, caregiving, chronic illness. That's so important to me. I know it's going to make such a huge impact in these people's lives. And also, if you are really tired of having a strained relationship with yourself, and therefore the rest of the world, and you are looking to tap into your intuition and repair the trust between you and you. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Namaste.